As the first light of dawn graces the river, its tranquil waters become a canvas, painted by the rising sun, a smoke signal, a beacon that heralds the arrival of a new day. This is the Essequibo River, the largest river in Guyana, a lifeline that stretches between the Orinoco and Amazon rivers. Originating in the Carai Mountains near the Brazil-Guyana border, it meanders northward for 1,014 kilometers, weaving through forests and savannas until it empties into the Atlantic Ocean. Along the Essequibo lies a mosaic of 365 islands. Among them, 3 of the largest islands, Hog Island, Wakenham, and Leguan, stand proudly at the mouth of the river, each with its own unique character and story. The indigenous people were the first to inhabit these lands. But the origins of the county of Essequibo, often referred to as the Cinderella County, trace back to 1581. It was founded by colonists from the first Zealandic colony, Pomeroon, which succumbed to Spanish and local warrior attacks around 1596. Under the leadership of Jules van der Hooge, these Zealanders embarked on a journey to an island known as Kaikoverall in the Essequibo River. The selection of this location was strategic, driven by both its geographical significance and the potential for trade with the local population. Upon arrival, van der Hooge discovered the remnants of an older Portuguese fort. Fueled by the resources of the West Indian Company, a new fortress named Fort Terhougen emerged between 1616 and 1621. Despite its official name, the inhabitants affectionately knew it as Fort Kaikoverall. In 1621, the administration of the West Indian Company and the governor of the entire colony established their presence here, shaping the course of Essequibo's history. As the British arrived, Essequibo was merged with Demerara, forming a united front. In 1815, it officially became a British colony, and in 1831, Demerara Essequibo merged with Berbice, establishing the colony of British Guyana. Covering 61,600 square miles, Essequibo is the largest county in Guyana, which is more than 2/3 of Guyana's total area. Essequibo comprises of 6 of Guyana's 10 administrative regions, which are home to over 200,000 Guyanese from different cultures, backgrounds, and races. Guyana's Cinderella County is one of the most calming parts of Guyana and boasts incredible natural beauty. The county of Essequibo is central to the economy of Guyana due to its abundance of natural resources, from gold to timber, rice, coconuts, and now, oil. Natural resources that have long caught the eye of unwelcome spectators. In the annals of history, the year 1814 marked a pivotal moment for Great Britain, as it inherited the Dutch possessions of Guyana, an amalgamation of the 3 rivers, Essequibo, Demerara, and Berbice. This marked the beginning of British Guyana, a territory that would evolve into what we know today as the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. However, the geopolitical landscape took an intriguing turn in 1841 when the Venezuelan government raised concerns about British encroachment on its territory. The roots of the dispute trace back to 1814 when Great Britain signed a treaty with the Netherlands to acquire British Guyana. The treaty, however, lacked a defined western boundary between British Guyana and Venezuela. British Guyana became a focal point for Venezuela, particularly after the British government commissioned the German surveyor and naturalist Robert Hermann Shamburg to delineate its borders. Shamburg drew what became the Shamburg Line in 1835. Venezuela strenuously objected to the maps and the borders identified by Shamburg, seeking to define its borders with British Guyana in a manner that included the entire Orinoco River and strategic areas to access it, as well as regions in the Cayenne. The dispute escalated when gold was discovered in the contested territory. Great Britain sought to extend its reach, claiming an additional 33,000 square miles west of the Shamburg Line. Faced with the challenge of influencing the powerful British Empire, Venezuela, recognizing its military inferiority, sought external support. The United States emerged as a potential ally, invoking the Monroe Doctrine as justification. And in August 1884, the Venezuelan government appointed William Scruggs as its special agent and special advisor. Scruggs faced initial resistance in his attempt to garner support from the US Congress and the Secretary of State. However, the unexpected death of the then Secretary of State Grisham and the subsequent appointment of Mr. Richard Olney proved serendipitous for Scruggs and Venezuela. This shift in leadership allowed Scruggs to navigate more favorably in his efforts to rally US support. This support from the United States would later lead to the signing of the Treaty of Arbitration between Great Britain and the United States of Venezuela in February 1897. This agreement was signed on behalf of Venezuela by Jose Andrade, the then president's brother. The agreement outlined the formation of an arbitral tribunal composed of 5 jurists to determine the boundary between British Guyana and Venezuela. 2 jurists each were appointed by Great Britain and Venezuela, with a 5th selected by mutual agreement or by Great Britain in the case of a deadlock. The tribunal was tasked with considering the historical colonial powers' perspectives in determining the boundary lines. The agreement included detailed stipulations regarding the proceedings, fact findings, decision-making by majority vote, and the timeline for reaching a decision. Articles 6 to 9 outline steps and guidelines for presenting arguments, and Article 10 emphasized the importance of a timely decision. The arbitrators were mandated to keep accurate records of their proceedings, and each government was responsible for compensating its own agent, counsel, and arbitrators. Article 13 was particularly significant, as it engaged the high contracting parties to consider the tribunal's decision as a full, perfect, and final settlement of all the questions referred to the arbitrators. In 1899, the tribunal determined the boundary to be the Shamburg Line, first delineated in 1835. This marked the culmination of diplomatic efforts, bringing a definitive resolution to a complex territorial controversy that had spanned decades. In the aftermath of the arbitration, both Venezuela and Britain embraced the 1899 award, paving the way for a cooperative effort to demarcate the newly established boundary. Venezuela's ambassador to Britain, the then president's brother, Jose Andrade, embraced the award, saying, "Greatly indeed did justice shine forth. We were given exclusive dominion over the Orinoco, which was the principal aim we sought to achieve through arbitration." A mixed British-Venezuelan boundary commission was formed, and over the course of several years, technical officials from both nations worked together to finalize the demarcation. The joint report and map of the boundary signed in 1905 by both parties solidified the resolution of the long-standing controversy. The signed map, embodying the marked boundary, symbolized a commitment to the agreement. Dr. Abraham Tirado, Elias Toro, H.I. Perkins, and C. Wilgris Anderson signed the map on behalf of their respective nations in Georgetown, British Guyana on January 7, 1905. 63 years after accepting the arbitral award and participating in the demarcation process, Venezuela in 1962 made an unexpected and startling claim. The award was null and void. The basis for this claim rested on a memorandum written by Severo Mallet Prevost, a junior American lawyer involved in the 1899 arbitration. Palais Provost alleged that the award resulted from a political deal by some judges on the tribunal. However, no concrete evidence has ever been presented to support this claim. The sudden reversal by Venezuela threw the region into diplomatic turmoil. As the controversy over the nullity of the 1899 arbitral award persisted, significant geopolitical changes were underway. In 1966, as Guyana was on the cusp of independence, the British agreed to sign the Geneva Agreement. This diplomatic accord aimed to address the long-standing controversy and establish a framework for resolution. The Geneva Accord aimed at a contemporary resolution, considering the imminent independence of British Guyana. The agreement sought closer cooperation between Guyana and Venezuela, establishing a mixed commission with representatives from both parties. This commission operated for 4 years, reporting every 6 months. If no agreement emerged, the matter would be referred to the UN Secretary General, following the principles outlined in Article 33 of the UN Charter, which states, "They shall refer the decision as to the means of settlement to an appropriate international organ, which they both agree, or failing agreement on this point, to the Secretary General of the United Nations." The accord outlined key articles to guide the process. Article 1 addressed the validity of the 1899 arbitral award. Article 2 detailed the appointment of representatives to the Mixed Commission. Article 3 mandated regular reports every 6 months. Article 4 set a timeline, triggering a final report after 4 years, leading to UN involvement if no resolution emerged. Article 5 emphasized cooperation and mutual understanding, prohibiting acts that would violate territorial sovereignty. In 1989, the United Nations Secretary General stepped in after Guyana and Venezuela failed to come to an amicable settlement, choosing the good offices process as the mechanism to seek a solution. This diplomatic avenue was intended to foster dialogue and understanding between the nations. Yet, the wheels of resolution turned slowly, dragging the process on for decades to come. On the 30th of January 2018, the United Nations Secretary General, His Excellency Antonio Guterres, invoked the Geneva Agreement of 1966, choosing the International Court of Justice, ICJ, as the avenue for settling this long-standing controversy. Thereafter, on the 29th of March 2018, Guyana made a bold move by filing its application with the ICJ. The nation sought a clear declaration from the court, affirming the validity and binding nature of the 1899 arbitral award on both Guyana and Venezuela. In an unexpected turn, Venezuela communicated to the ICJ on the 18th of June 2018, stating that it would not participate in the case. Venezuela's argument centered on its belief that the ICJ had no jurisdiction in the matter, despite the earlier agreement under the Geneva Accord and the Secretary General's endorsement of the ICJ as the method for resolving the controversy. The ICJ, acknowledging the critical nature of determining its jurisdiction in the case, initiated a procedural battle. According to Article 79, Paragraph 2 of its rules, the court decided to address the jurisdictional question before delving into the merits of the case. Recognizing the need for a fair process, the ICJ set specific time limits for both parties to present their arguments during the jurisdictional phase. On the 19th of November 2018, Guyana submitted its detailed memorial on jurisdiction, adhering to the court's timeline. However, the anticipated response from Venezuela in the form of a counter-memorial due on the 18th of April 2019 never materialized. While the court expected a counter-memorial, Venezuela instead sent a memorandum to assist the court. Following, the ICJ, in a historic ruling in 2020, by a majority vote of 12-4, asserted its jurisdiction over the case, opening the door for a comprehensive examination of the long-standing controversy. By examining the validity of the arbitral award of 1899, the ICJ ruled in favor of Guyana. The decision, with President Youssouf and Vice President Zhou leading the majority, marked a pivotal moment in the ongoing border controversy. In September 2023, the government of Venezuela issued a public statement directly and boldly challenging Guyana's ownership of its natural oil resources and the county of Essequibo. In a later statement, Venezuela's government criticized the United States' support of Guyana in maintaining its sovereignty, and once again asserted its false ownership of the Essequibo, despite the ongoing case and its lack of cooperation at the ICJ. The territorial claim not only challenges physical boundaries, but also disrupts the lives of those who call Essequibo home. Families that have lived here for generations find themselves caught in the midst of the border controversy. This underscores the emotional attachment that Guyanese people have for Essequibo. The repercussions extend far beyond the borders of Essequibo, reaching into the very fabric of the entire country. The Essequibo region is not only culturally significant, but it is also an economic powerhouse for the nation. The oil reserves east of the Essequibo River are crucial for the country's future prosperity. Guyana is experiencing an economic boom, with double-digit growth rates in 2023 and 2024. The oil fields are a critical factor in this economic surge, driving development, creating jobs, and fueling the nation's aspirations for the future. The history of Essequibo clearly shows how deeply embedded it is in the overall history of Guyana. And despite the decades of controversy and non-cooperation from Venezuela, Guyana has held firm in its unwavering position that the great county of Essequibo belongs to the people of Guyana. Through the efforts of its leaders, allies, and its people, Guyana will continue to remain the land of the free. And for the people living here, the sun will continue to rise on Guyana's Essequibo.